Hello everybody. Today we're going to work on the second day of section 1.1 and we're working with calculating with degrees, minutes, and seconds. So you definitely want to get out your notebook and you want to title your notes as you see here above. So go ahead and get your notebook out now and write down the title. The other thing that you want to get in the habit of is writing the date. So go ahead and write the date here and then we'll go ahead and get started. So what we're going to be talking about today are the angles, which we looked at yesterday. You can see that this is our angle given two rays and a common endpoint. The common endpoint is known as the vertex of that angle. Now we do have a couple of new ideas, and we talk about these ideas all the time in trigonometry as we start looking at more sophisticated angles and we start calculating with them. We know this is known as our initial side. So when you're talking about the initial side, that's the side where we begin the angle. This is figure 2 from your book. You can sketch it in your notes so that you kind of have these vocabulary terms. So the initial side is where we start the angle. You rotate usually counterclockwise. If you think about a clock, the old-fashioned clocks, they rotate around to the right, this direction that I'm doing with my cursor. So when we're working with trigonometry, you're going to start at this initial side and you're going to rotate around counterclockwise. Now, the two different types of angles that we are going to generate, and this is figure 3 in your book, are positive angles if you rotate this direction from the initial side. Remember, this is your initial, this is the terminal, the terminating side, the stopping side. Or if you start here at this initial side and you rotate the opposite direction, then that would give you a negative angle. At the beginning of this class, most of the angles that we work with are going to be positive angles. Okay, now just a reminder, as I'm going through this video, I'm going to continuously record it. If you need to pause, feel free to pause at any time and go back and get anything that you miss. The next thing that we're going to look at is the actual, in words, of what we just saw. When you're dealing with a counterclockwise rotation. Okay, so again, think of a clock. I wish I had one to show you. When you are dealing with a clock, let me see if I can find one, and I'll put it on the screen here. So I found an analog clock that I want to show you so you can see the demonstration of the rotation of this seconds hand. So the green is the hours, the red is the minutes. You don't have to know any of this stuff. And the black here is the second hand. What I want you to notice is look at the rotation, what direction that second hand is going in. So this is what I mean when I say clockwise. You're rotating around to the right. Counterclockwise is when you start and you rotate around the opposite direction. And that's the type of rotation that we're going to be working with to get positive angles in trigonometry. So just kind of picture this analog clock. When I say clockwise, that means rotating to the right. Counterclockwise, rotating to the left. So if I drew this coordinate graph here, this little coordinate plane, this is an X and Y axis, and we're talking about the counterclockwise, that means we're going from here, this initial side, and we would be rotating to the left. Wherever that angle stops, that's going to be something that's determined by our degree measure or whatever problem we're working with. Okay, now if we're looking at a clockwise rotation, as we saw in the clock a moment ago, that means you'll be starting at this initial side and rotating that direction. Okay, so counterclockwise goes around to the left, starting at this initial side, and clockwise goes to the right. We will do lots and lots more with this. So if it seems a little bit confusing to you right this moment, don't worry, because this is what is generating the ideas that we'll be working on as we move through. Okay, now take a look at this angle over here. You can see that it started here at this initial side. It rotated counterclockwise, and you are given the fact that it's a 35-degree angle. So it says the measure of angle A is 35. This is expressed as, you'll see just angle A, where it's the measurement of the angle A. Now, in trigonometry, we are now getting into these upper level math ideas. So unlike your prior classes, integrated math or geometry, you would usually say angle A. We don't do that a lot. What we do instead in trigonometry is we just use a capital letter in order to denote that angle. So this would just be known as angle A. So angle A, and then you could just say is 35 degrees. Another important idea that we're going to be working with today is adding and subtracting these degrees. Now, we're not just going to add and subtract degrees. We are also going to break them down into their smaller units. Okay, if you think about something that you all know well, think about an hour. As you know, an hour can be broken into minutes and seconds. Well, the same thing happens with these degrees. If you zoom in and you get more precise with these degrees, you can break them down into minutes and seconds. So, 1 degree, each one of these little marks, think about the fact that there would be 35 of them in here. You could split it up into 35 little pieces. 1 degree can actually be broken into 60 minutes. So it's kind of like if you think about an hour, but it wouldn't be equal to an hour on the clock. 1 degree is a small amount, maybe the width of this line here. 1 degree is equal to 60 minutes. Now, think about money. If you have $1, you can break $1 into quarters, and you'd have 4 quarters. And you could take those 4 quarters and you can break them into nickels. And then you could take those nickels and break them into pennies. So these are smaller and smaller units of measure. Same thing goes with the degree. 1 degree is equal to 60 minutes, but each minute is equal to 60 seconds. And this will be useful when we're looking at more precise measurements, and we're going to learn how to calculate using degrees, minutes, and seconds. So let's go ahead and do some calculations. So as you see from the directions, and I would write this down, again, this is all stuff you want to put in your notebook, put in the examples for sure, because then you can look back. When I pick out the examples, I pick out examples that will go along with the assigned problems that I chose for you. Also, you will find that I picked out examples that are different than those examples offered in the book. So if you need to look at your textbook and you want to look for additional examples, go to section 1.1 and look up the examples that they have for you. All right, so it says perform each calculation. And we're going to be looking at degrees and minutes and seconds. So this is the degree symbol. We looked at it yesterday. Right here, the little circle is the degree symbol. 1 little mark is the symbol for minutes. The first thing I'm going to do after I've copied down the problem is I'm going to line these up. So I'm going to put them in columns. Columns hold up the building of degrees and minutes. So I've got 63 degrees. And I have 11 minutes. Okay, so remember this little symbol here is minutes. Now I'm going to line that up with what I see below. 70 degrees and 40 minutes. Notice how I've left a little gap in here. I did that on purpose because I want to make sure I have a separate column for the degrees and the minutes. Okay, now, how do I know what to do with this problem? So look at what it says. It says I'm going to add them up. So I'm going to add these up, and I'm going to do each column separate. Now, at this point, if you need to get your phone to use as a calculator, you certainly can do that. That would be perfectly fine. You can also go on Google, and if you need to find the Desmos calculator, you just simply type in Desmos Scientific Calculator. It should pop up like this. and you can use it. Okay, now I was playing around with this because in my first video, it gave me an error. So I want to show you how to do it. So in this case, we need to find 11 plus 40, which most of you can do in your brain, but I'm just 40. You could probably do this calculation in your head, but I'm just demonstrating. And then what you want to do is press this enter key over here at the bottom. The blue, it's lit up. And you can see that there you go, you've got 51. So let's go ahead and put that into our slide over here. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is add 63 plus 70. Again, if you'd rather use your phone, if that's faster for you, that's fine. If you want to add it up in your brain, that's fine as well. Your choice. Make sure you hit the enter over here. I was hitting answer yesterday, it wasn't working. Okay, so that gives you 133 degrees. So let's add that in. Now there's one other thing that we need to check before we say that our answer is complete. We just need to make sure that our minutes column is not greater than 60. The reason for that is because when you're talking about minutes, hours, etc., if you have to work at a job, you don't say that you work 120 minutes. You would say, oh, I work 2 hours. Well, the same thing goes here. We want to keep this minutes column less than 60, because if it's greater than 60, then we can just say it's a full degree. So this would be our answer. Again, get in the habit of circling your answers. Okay, here's our next example. Copy it down. If you need to pause the video, go ahead. The first thing that I'm going to do is line it up. So I'm going to line up the 43 degrees and 37 minutes. So that's how you would read that if you were reading that out loud. And 76 degrees and 42 minutes. Okay, the biggest question people have when they're starting these is, what am I doing with it? So look at the original problem. It says you are adding them together. Start with minutes. So we're going to add up the minutes column. Again, if it's easier for you just to use your phone, you can use your phone or go to Desmos. 37 plus 42. Hit enter. Okay, and go ahead and write that down. Again, you can add in your brain if you'd rather do that. Okay, then add this column. And look at the final answer. Now, normally we'd say we're done, but you should notice something right away. This 79 right here, minutes, is more than 60. So if you were working a job, you would not say, I'm working 79 minutes today. You would say, oh, I'm working an hour and a half, or I'm working 3 hours, or whatever. So what we have to do is we have to reduce this answer. And in order to reduce it, you need to think about the fact that there are 60 minutes, so 1 degree equals 60 minutes. Okay, so essentially what does that mean? That means I have 60 extra minutes in here. So I'm going to take them out. Well, you can't just take them out. What you have to do is you have to then add them in over here. So 1 degree, I wrote, is 60 minutes, right? So if I take out, oh, I should say 60 minutes. Change that. So if I take out the 60 minutes over here, I apologize, that should be in minutes. Then I'm going to add the 1 degree over here. Okay, so let's do the calculation. 79 minus 60 gives you 19 minutes. And 119, we're adding that degree in. Remember, the degree is equal to the 60 minutes, is 120 degrees. The last type of problems that you're going to see today are going to ask you to find complementary and supplementary angles. So when you're looking at this, I hope you remember from yesterday's lesson that complementary angles are 90 degrees. So this would be your complementary. Okay, so this would be your complementary angle, and then we're also going to see a supplementary angle. So we're going to start out by lining them up just like we did on the prior. So I'm going to write out my 90 degrees. I don't have any minutes. I don't have any minutes. Below it, I have 38 degrees, and I'm going to put in my 43 minutes. Okay, now I found this to be very helpful when you have no minutes. See how this was 90 and no minutes? I found it very helpful to go ahead and put in the fact that there are no minutes. I find that that is much less confusing than just leaving it blank. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and I'm ready to solve. Okay, so look at what this one's asking you to do. You're finding the complement of an angle. So we're going to be subtracting 90 minus the given angle. Okay, just like you did in the prior example, we're going to go ahead and work with the columns. But we're going to run into an issue here. You can't take nothing. You can't take 43 from nothing. So what I'm going to have to do is go back to an old idea that you learned way back in elementary school of borrowing. So I'm going to actually take the idea that 1 degree equals 60 minutes, and I'm going to put this idea into play here. I'm going to take away a degree. So I had 90. I'm going to take one away. That's going to leave me with 89. And that's going to add in 60 minutes over here. Okay, again, I took out a degree. I borrowed a degree. That adds in 60 minutes over here. So now, rather than having no minutes, now I have 60 minutes. Okay, so let's go ahead and subtract. If you need to use Desmos, if you want to use your phone, that's fine. So you're going to take the 60 minus the 43. So go ahead and do that. And then subtract your 89 minus 38. Double check your answer. Make sure that you don't have any minutes that are over 60. You can see that your answer is 51 degrees, 17 minutes, which is definitely below 60. So you've got your answer. Okay, we've got one final example. We're going to look at a supplementary angle. So copy down the problem, pause the video if needed, and then line it up. So we're going to start with 180 degrees. This time you can see there's no minutes. Oh, what's this? Now we've added in another notation. So we have degrees, we have minutes, and we have seconds. So you can see what the second symbol looks like. Let's go ahead and start lining them up. Start with your 32 degrees. Next, you've got the 45 minutes. Notice I'm leaving space in between my columns, and I'm doing that on purpose. So you want to leave some space. Don't squish them all together. And then I have 47 seconds. I'm going to put in my zeros. So this original one, and by the way, the directions for the question like this will say, find the supplement of. Find the supplement of, okay? So this would be a supplement. Find the supplement of. I'm going to put in all my zeros. So I'm missing the minutes. I don't have any. I'm missing the seconds. I don't have any. So let's try to subtract. Right away, you'll see that you can't take 47 from nothing. We can't have negative answers when you're talking about these angles. So I'm going to have to borrow. All right, this is where it gets a little crazy. So I'm going to move over to the next column here. But look, there's still nothing there. So you're going to have to go all the way over here and borrow from the degrees first. So remember, 1 degree equals 60 minutes. So let's start with that. So we're going to take out a degree. That leaves you with 179. That means we're going to add in 60 minutes. Okay, that's great. But that doesn't help us. See that? We still have 0. Okay, well, we have to think more. If 1 minute equals 60 seconds, then we'll be able to subtract over here as well. So now what I'm going to do is borrow from the minutes column. Originally I had 60, but I'm taking one out. I'm taking out a minute. That's going to leave me 59. 1 minute, according to what we just wrote here, is equal to 60 seconds. So now I can finally add that into my last column. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video if you want and subtract your columns. Always double check that your final column is less than 60. This middle one should be too, but that shouldn't happen unless you made a mistake. So this is 147 degrees, 14 minutes. Let me make that a little bit clearer here. 14 minutes and 13 seconds. And then notice I'm circling my answer. So I'm going to go ahead and give you the assignment, and then I'm going to do a problem or two with you to get started. Label your assignments. So whatever you see for the assignment, you want to label them. When we start to enter those into the computer, you'll want to know what assignment you're working with. So get in the habit of labeling the top of your assignment so that you can find it later when you go to enter in your answers. Okay, so put this label at the top, put your name on the paper. If you are an in-person learner and you drop it, I can get it back to you, and so forth. So your assignment starts with number 9, but let's go ahead and take a look at number 11. So if you want to leave some space, fine. Otherwise, do 11 and then just continue number 9 after. So the directions for this section say find the complement and the supplement of the given angle. So number 11 has 20 degrees, 10 minutes, and 30 seconds. And it says find the complement and the supplement. Okay, so if you remember, when we looked at the complement is 90 minus. We worked on these yesterday. So I'm going to start with the 90. I'm going to line it up. I'm going to do the 20 degrees right below it, the 10 minutes next to that, and the 30 seconds in the third column. Put in the zeros. You will find that it's very helpful as you work through these. And we're subtracting. Okay, so let's go ahead and subtract each column. Again, we run into the issue where there's nothing there, so we're going to have to borrow. Nothing to borrow here, so go all the way over to this column. You're taking out 1 degree. That's going to add 60 minutes. But you still have the problem over here because that didn't give us any seconds. So borrow from the minutes column. So we're going to take out a minute, minus 1. 60 minus 1 is 59. There are 60 seconds in a minute. All right, that's the hard part. Getting it set up, that's the hard part. Now simply subtract. Once you believe you're done, double check your seconds column, whatever your smallest increment of the angle is. As long as it's under 60, this one should be under 60, or you've made a mistake up here somewhere, then your answer is finished. You also have to find the supplement for the same angle. Remember, supplement will be 180. So let's try it. Go ahead and line it up on your paper. Using the same angle. If you want to pause the video and try it yourself and then kind of match up what I have, that's fine. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and add in my zeros. Okay, so I would probably pause and try it and then resume again when You get it? Okay, so again, my problem is I don't have any minutes, seconds, and I don't have any minutes. So I have to come over here and start borrowing. Take out a degree. 1 degree is 60 seconds. 1 degree is 60 minutes, sorry. Okay, now I'm going to take from the minutes column. So I'm going to take out a minute, 1 minute. 60 minus 1 is 59. And that's going to give me 60 seconds. So now I can finally subtract. Go ahead and subtract everything. And then just double check your smallest column. All right, so give this a try. I will be posting up answers for these assignments. So right now we're still working out the details. I'm probably going to be using a program. I will go over the details with you either in remote or in person. And so stay tuned for more information. All right, have a good day.